This is peak Overwatch.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, what you've all been waiting for. And now it's go time. Here we go.
Bloody hands, my eyes wide, I got one chance. No sleep till I'm enhanced. Fight hard to keep my stance. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding me?
Taking over the game.
What am I watching? They might just be doing it.
He's a god. He's a god.
Yeah.
Full force, I'm unleashed, so don't speak. Grandmaster, don't sleep. Victory, it tastes so sweet. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside. Let's go.
What up, Overwatch League fans? We are back, and I am back actually this time. All the issues have been sorted, hopefully, fingers crossed for this evening, but I'm joined, of course, once again by the lovely Vicky Kitty. We're about to get into day number 2 of week 2 of the APAC matches. I'm excited, you're excited, I'm sure, and Vicky,
oh yeah,
someone in this first series is going to get their first win today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this plays out between these 4 teams that we're going to be seeing today within the APAC region. Jaws, I know we were talking about it earlier, actually yesterday before you dropped, but that second match I got my eyes out for between the Hunters and the Fusions. And, but that's not going to be the first match we're going to be covering for today. The first match, actually, that we're bringing to you guys is going to be the Hangzhou Spark versus the New York Excelsior.
Yeah, and like I said, first win on the board for one of the teams today. The Spark didn't have the most glamorous showing yesterday, and neither did the NYXL. They haven't actually taken a map thus far in the season, but it is very, very early days. But you can rep your favorite teams, of course, if you go to overwatchleague.com/team-shops, and you can have a little browse of the merchandise. A lot of the teams there have got, and I'm sure there are a lot of new fans of different teams this year, specifically maybe the Hunters, who are coming up a little later on. I think they've garnered more fans this year, with considering how well they've been doing.
Yeah, if you want to rep your favorite team, make sure to check out the Overwatch League website and check out the merch store so that way you guys could be at home repping those jerseys, repping your favorite player number, and you know what? Be able to show us on social media what your jerseys look like. It's going to be really excited to see how this plays out, though, especially looking at the Hunters, Jaws. I'm personally a really big fan now.
Oh, yes. But let's talk about our first match of the day. Of course, it is the Spark versus the NYXL. And someone on the NYXL who's been around for a little bit longer than a lot of the others, actually, has been Ivy, previous of the Toronto Defiant, alongside Yukpung as well. And his mate has been pretty damn good. I mean, look at those stats across the board. With May's damage numbers, you're not really looking at May doing the most damage in this kind of composition. She's there to freeze people up. She's there to wall, more importantly, wall the tanks off so your tanks can engage and then do the most damage. But 6K leading the league currently in damage done and fewest deaths. But the most important stat there, Vicky, is the Blizzard kills. Tied third place, 4.6 per 10. That is a crazy stat. A lot of high value from his Blizzards.
Yeah, honestly, when I take a look at Ivy, I feel like he's one of those players that kind of fly under the radar, and he's been able to stand out as a player on every team that's signed him. So overall, looking at Ivy and how he's going to perform on this May, the whole point is being able to control a lot of that space with the Blizzard. You may not be doing a lot of damage overall, but being able to hit every ice goal and charge up into that Blizzard is going to really make a difference into these control points.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's probably why he's got the highest damage currently of any Maze, right? And then he's able to transform those into Blizzards, of course. Let's have a look at the lineup for the NYXL, though. Of course, it's going to be the same roster we have seen yesterday, and they do need to claim this map, or at least a series win, man. It must be demoralizing, Vicky, let's be real. Not being able to claim a single map in your first series of the brand new season. We do have Ivy, of course, Flora, Yukpung, Bianca, and Jonak on Friday. A lot of rookie players on the team that has been kind of spearheaded here by Jonak, the veteran who has been around NYXL since the very beginning, all the way back 3 years ago. So it's up to him to really kind of lead and mentor the team, it does feel. But like you were saying, Ivy has been a little bit of a standout performer, but can they perform against the Spark today? That is all up to question.
And they need to, honestly. After their performance yesterday, although the Hunters have been on a roll, you take a look at the NYXL, that was their first debut match versus the Hunters, and it just did not go according to plan. It could honestly be that this team is still trying to find their footing so early in the season, and, you know, being led by Jonak is going to be a big deal to pay attention to, you know, former MVP and mainstay of the team, to kind of guide and help allow the NYXL to actually figure out what they need to iron out in their play, because yesterday honestly just was not it.
Yeah, let's have a look at the Spark starters, though, who they'll be facing off against. Pretty in pink. One of my favorite color schemes in the league, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
The light blue and the pink, it looks, yeah, pretty damn snazzy. Architect, Godsby, of course, Gushwei, Bernard, IDK, and MCD. And we talked a little bit yesterday about the rotating tanks, and me thinking, you know, they run Gushwei on all these kind of dive-orientated maps, the double bubble. It wasn't really the case, in fact. We did see them go on Gibraltar and sub in Takayaki. Of course, they didn't end up getting the series win, of course, and it feels like a little bit more of an experiment there, because Gushwei, definitely one of the strongest Winstons we have in the Overwatch League. Maybe that's changed in the off-season, I'm not entirely sure, and only time will tell, of course, as this is their Sparks, the second match of the season. Yeah, I'm excited, honestly, because not only do we get to see mad flexibility from Architect, but again, a lot of brand new players into the league on the NYXL. We are heading to Busan as our first map, Vicky.
Yeah, I actually really like the fact that you brought up Gushwei. You know, this was a player I was definitely looking out for. I would say he's one of the best Winstons on the league. And when I pay attention to Gushwei and how they brought in Takoyaki, it was interesting to see if they were trying to work together to figure out some sort of synergy based off of Takoyaki's play. But, you know, that was yesterday. This is today. This is going to be a different team that we have our eyes set out for. Hopefully they were able to figure something out after yesterday, and we're already getting started.
Oh yes, we are TPs forward, Godspeed surging over to the Tracer, Ivy doing the same. A little bit of a different comp here with Bianca actually opting for the Sigma rather than something a little bit more divey like Bernard has on the Diva. Architect's going to be a big problem here for the rest of the NYXL, because you can hide pretty easily on Busan, especially if you're hiding around this mega health pack, and if your ball is controlling that as well, it's almost impossible to kind of get an angle on Architect. You have to expose yourself before anything happens. Point is going to unlock Vicky, and Yukpung's trying to contest now against the supports.
Yeah, Yukpun already trying to tack on some of this pressure on the backlines, is going to be able to rotate out of that. And, you know, Architect being able to utilize that verticality that the map provides is going to be a big deal. But with MCD falling down first, Yukpung now is going to be able to get aggressive. It just leaves it up to IDK, who is going to be falling down, and that sustainability for the Spark is slowly diminishing before their eyes. They may want to respect that as the NYXL, they take the point first.
Yeah, slow rotations from the NYXL, but just having the ball to touch there to actually contest is almost perfect, and then slowly but surely Bianca and the rest of the team can rotate towards the point. That was a very, very, very good pick onto MCD, almost the perfect one, right? That's the Discord orb you've got to not really worry about, and then you also have the Brigitte who's alone. You can't really heal yourself very well either if you're the Brig. You have to rely on your whip shots to hit somebody, because no one's really going to come near you, if I'm all honest. Point, of course, now on NYXL's favor, and now it's up to Architect to find these funky angles against Flora. Bianca's going to be at his back more often than not. You're looking at like two small fights happening. One in this mega health pack room where Flora's trying to duck, dip, dive, and dodge away from Architect, and then the ball's just trying to go at each other.
Yeah, Gushwei creating chaos. Bernard's out of the mech right now, and the pulse bomb stick onto Jonak, but Yukpung coming in with the retaliation. He completely eliminates Gushwei Bernard, and the follow-up already, the NYXL, despite losing that member at the very beginning of the fight with Jonak.
Are you serious?
What?
Flora just missed 3 or 4 shots on a dynamite on the floor to try and kill Godsby, and now he's just spawn camping. Luckily, Yukpung is going to be there to save him. Are they actually going to be able to find a kill on Godsby? Okay, they do manage to chase him down in the end. But NYXL still holding the point firm, Vicky, and they're nearing Transcendence, they're nearing the Flux, the Bob, the Pulse. Like, this is a really good position for NYXL to be in here. Just protect the President in Jonak, and yeah, he's going to pay dividends a little bit later on. Ivy looking for a Pulse Bomb, though.
Yeah, it was a good trade that they wanted right there. The Gravitic Flux now coming alive, and the Pulse Bomb coming in. Now everybody is spawned over to the side room, but the Transcendence from Jonak is going to help NYXL stay in despite the rally to match that, but with Architect falling down first and MCD to follow him, the rally may not be enough here as Benar is going to get demaxed and they're going to get sent back to the spawn. NYXL though, they're already being able to contest this point. Is there anybody here to try to retake it? They are going to be able to move right back in, but I like this positioning right now that we're seeing from Godsby. He gets stunned and immediately deleted, and that's the problem when you're playing Tracer. You have to face off against Friday on the Brigida. NYSL, they're looking fantastic, and those adjustments that we mentioned, Jaws, are now coming out in full force.
Wow, absolutely crunched. That was a little bit of a beating that the Spark took there. Nice little rotation to kind of cap, but then the NYXL, like I mentioned before, are able to kind of move this small unit using the Sigma Shield and Zenyatta, of course, and Friday just being almost like I want to say bastion, but I don't mean, of course, the hero, just this small movable castle that travels across the map very slowly, but very efficiently. It's very tough for Architect to really do anything. You got the, if you had the point advantage, like I mentioned before, you're able to force people to come to you, right? You force people to go in these choke points. It's very easy to land your AoE if you're the Echo, and it's much harder for a hit scan, long-range hit scan DPS to get angles on you. But if you don't control the point, you saw Architect didn't really have much impact on that Echo pick at all. He got one copy off and didn't manage to even build up a flux when he copied the Sigma. We're going on to Sanctuary though, same kind of compositions. Actually saying that, they're actually swapped roles almost. Benar's switching from the D.Va, he's on the Sigma, and Bianca is playing the D.Va now. A little bit more dive-centric, though, as they do have the Sombra too.
Yeah, they're going to be able to build into some of those EMPs, and Yakung already gets annihilated? Alright, Gushwei making a statement right here, but they traded for Benar, and that's actually going to be a 1-for-1 deal. You can already see as they do rotate right back onto this point to reclaim it first. The Spark, they're able to suppress NYXL, but for how long here, Jaws? As you can already see the NYXL getting into position, rotating right now to contest the Spark, and overall, they are going to be able to take the point first. Yeah, the onus now is on the Spark to jump on the back line because there's a lot less protection. Yeah, you've got the D.Va Matrix, but you aren't going to be able to have a permanent Sigma Shield. MCD and Jonah do end up getting traded as a mech goes down for Bianca as well. Ivy's trying to do the damage, but all they need to do is really defend the point currently, right? You just need to stall for as long as possible. It's so difficult too when you have Jonak falling in. It's up to Friday to help that sustainability, and it's just not enough right there. Immediately Friday goes down right after Jonak, and Spark, they finally claim this point right here, at least trying to extend some sort of lead as the NYXL. They're getting a little bit of momentum here. Yeah, 23%.
That was so lucky.
The fact that he hit him out of it too.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Gushwei was spy checking that whole time, and then he accidentally rolls into him to discover Flora. Nearing the EMP though, this is going to be rather deadly. You can just jump, even just catching one person here on the Spark side is perfect. Ideally, it is MCD and Gushwei, one of those two to just blow them up. That's a perfect EMP. Flora's 10% away, and already you can see Ivy pressuring the point with Pulse.
Yeah, he has it at the ready. He's trying to find that perfect opportunity. I like the disengage, though, that we're seeing from the Spark and the NYXL. They're getting pretty confident right here. Now trying to help out Ivy. Yeah, Pung comes in, and yeah, the EMP is online. Take your eyes on Flora. He's on the back line, and here he goes.
He misses.
Utilizing the EMP, and he gets both support, but they immediately shut him down. The way that Godsby was able to react to that, and now Architect getting that pulse pick off of Jonak. That's 2 members down for the NYXL, and now the Spark, they're going to be able to hold that advantage and send the NYXL back.
He mismeasured completely there, Vicky. Flora only hit IDK. He missed MCD completely. He was sitting on the edge of that EMP. Those shields weren't depleted. He couldn't get taken out. And like you said, instant turnaround from Godsby. Perfect reactions, managed to kill him off. And now Flora switching over to the Ashe instead to try and match Godsby in the 1v1. Rally and Transcendence available for the Spark, 75% and building 2. This is looking a rather sorry state. Ivy's going to have to make this pulse bomb big. It's either waiting for the rally from IDK or trying to force the Transcendence out by attaching that pulse to MCD. That's the name of the game here.
Oh, and Yakpun has the minefield as well. You can already see him trying to get into position, disrupting the piece, but Spark already are rotating onto the point. He's on the back lines, though. He's trying to isolate them, trying to utilize the minefields to block their approach to get onto the point here. Take a look at Ivy's pulse bomb. He gets immediately deleted by Godsby again. The consistency on Godsby's headshots. He's been clicking. Yes, but no one's touching. What? They were right there. They were dancing around it.
They were actually on the pillar.
What? Why does this keep happening?
I don't know. What is it with Apex games? A little bit of C9 action. Okay, I mean, they were on the pillar, like you said, dancing around it, and it looked like maybe they thought they touched in time, but
yeah.
well, you know, apparently not. There wasn't even a D.Va bomb. It was the very end. The D.Va launched the bomb up to try and scatter everybody, but they could have had a touch there. At least the wrecking ball getting onto the point. Oh man. Okay, NYXL. Yeah. Point control on point for the first map. This one. The last one, sorry, not so much. Maybe it works out a little bit better in their favor this time. Rush is the name of the game here, of course, with it being a mecha base, a TP forward for the Spark, running Rush versus, yet again, running the dive. However, setting up on this high ground super far away with Floor on Friday, it's going to be a fairly easy rotation if the Spark choose to do so. They have got speed boost, of course, and NYXL lack the Lucio, so Flora's going to have to play extra careful. Already getting completely chunked out. Friday's not on top of him currently. I believe he's just healing someone else. Jonak's even half HP too, so not really much damage they're throwing out currently. It's actually the Brawl comp from range that's doing a little bit more.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Seeing that Flora is going to have that pocket from Friday and to deal a lot of that damage, wants to make sure that they could burn through Gushui's shield. Ivy getting out of that situation. Flora taking a lot of that damage, but at least to build up into that nano boost, yeah, at least the point right now is going to get respected. NYXL get out of it as the Spark try to make their way over. Gushui taking so much of that damage as he does drop down, and they annihilate him from Flora to clean that up. And now the number advantage and big ante onto IDK and Gods. Bernard took so much of that damage, he gets demeched afterwards. And the Spark, they're at that disadvantage with the NYXL now taking the point first.
Yeah, that was super nice from NYXL. They took basically 3 angles against Gushui there, setting, of course, up on the high ground with the Ash and the damage boost, and then Yukfun and Bianca can come in from the sides, and then Ivy as well, just kind of harassing him too. They forced Lamp out super early, and it was only Gushui that dropped first. Bernard and Architect did end up dropping as well, but it was a little bit too late. IDK goes extremely low after an anti-hitting, as the High Noon is used by Godspeed to try and clear some space, but they're not really making use of that at all. They didn't even speed boost Godspeed out of this high ground, but they're going to have to stop Yukpam just blowing them up. He does end up getting hacked. Architect now changing from the May over to the Sombra as the window gets opened up, and the EMP is huge.
The EMP not only negating the Ant Matrix, but also now the NYXL, they're moving right on the point. They find 3 picks. Flora's down, but it doesn't matter. They still have the advantage, finding 3 members of Spark. Bernard's going to meet up with them. They're just going to wait for Bernard to stagger. Quite unfortunate, but nothing you can do here. I mean, on NYXL, they want to expand that lead here, Jaws, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Nice, nice, nice. That was a perfect pick. Perfect nade, too, from Jonak. EMP hit Gushui and MCD, can use Immortality Field, can use his shift to heal himself, and yeah, you're as good as dead as soon as that anti-nade lands on top of you. Very, very nicely executed. Now they're looking at the self-destruct and the mines, but Bernard's got one of his own. Architect's been pretty slow building up towards the CMP, but he did change from the May, so there is a reason why he's so far behind. But Ivy right now is only 20% away from almost lapping him at this point, which is very worrying if you're a Spark fan right now.
Yeah, especially IDK at least does have that sound barrier coming online very soon. The D.Va bomb,
wow,
oh my gosh, Gushui, that actually landed almost behind him right there, and the sound barrier to keep them alive. But I'm worried here, Jaws. Ivy's slowly reaching that EMP soon. Architect as well, and now Godspeed gonna be able to utilize the dead. Oh, he's gone. He's out of this fight, and that just leaves IDK for the sustainability. But Godspeed finds Yakung, and that's a great trade at least. But Overtime is alive, and the Spark need to stay on this point to at least try to contest it, at least try to flip this for the first point and first time in the round. Now being able to have that EMP online from Ivy, they do manage to demec Bernard and finding the EMP coming in, and now here comes Ivy. They completely not only negate Gushui and his shatter, but the NYXL, they gave that point very briefly to the Spark, and they may want to get in some respect. Oh, the Avengers should just try to contest Flora on the high ground. I like the way that NYXL is playing this, though. They're very spread out, and they're purposely splitting the attention from Spark.
I don't know how IDK got the kill onto Jono there. I think Friday was potentially rezzing, just looking at the kill feed. EMPs were lapped, by the way. Ivy did manage to get one before Architect get his, but Architect used his first. Flora is just immortal on this high ground too, just taking pot shots at the front line. Gushui manages to maybe find the flip again, just needs to push the Sombra off the point, and he does find the flip. Somehow, the NYXL winning in terms of kills, but the point control is still remaining in Sparks. It's flipped either way, at least twice at this point. Flora's going to have the bob online pretty soon, but now, actually, the Spark are in a pretty good spot. They're able to now group up as 6. It didn't matter if MCD died at the start of the first fight, because now just NYXL just slacking just a little bit.
And they do have that Bob that you were talking about here, Jaws. Architect, though, finds that first pick off of Ivy. Actually going to be difficult here to build into that EMP, but now the Nano Boost coming alive. Jonak trying to keep the rest of NYXL sustained here, and the Bob is going to be able to take care of Godspeed. Flora popping off, quick little 3K over to the side. You see the way he's been able to try to melt down Gushue's shield. Gushue forced to get back onto the point. Overtime is taken away, and Spark, unfortunately, no one left to touch this point. NYXL, they take the first map.
Man, that was such a confusing last, like, 60 seconds to 2 minutes. That was very strange.
Yeah, it was kept going back and forth.
Yeah, Spark lost MCD like super early as well in the second to last fight there, and you're like, okay, well now only IDK remains. That's pretty easy, especially if someone like Flora could just sit all the way back and just shoot people with damage boost. And then Gushue manages to cap, and then NYXL get the recap, and then Spark cap again as 6 people, and then that was very confusing. I mean, it was really, I think there was just a lack of focus there from NYXL. However, they do end up taking the map at least. Their first map win as well of the 2021 season. You got to be happy about that, Vicky.
Yeah, baby steps here, Jaws, and that's how everything starts going. Once you get the ball moving, you want to keep it moving. And the NYXL now taking that first map, we could very much see that within the series between the Spark. Although you made a mention of that last fight that we saw was extremely chaotic, honestly. I feel like it was the fact that the split attention wasn't really fixated on being able to focus. They found these picks, but unfortunately, they were kind of displaced and discombobulated. But now you look at the way the Spark has made some of those adjustments, and I like the way they're looking today, especially. We're going to see what map we're going to next on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We currently have the Spark versus the NYXL, with the NYXL leading in the series.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. The NYXL are currently up 1-0 versus the Spark. That first map, though, going a little bit back and forth between the action, right, Jaws?
Yeah, a little bit back and forwards. We did say just before the break, that last fight, a little bit confusing. Flips either way, just constantly. I'm like, is this map ever going to end? I don't know. NYXL did end up taking it, however, with their first map win of the season 2. Not bad at all. And I want to touch on something that we talked about a little bit earlier on about how the roster has been retooled. And it's interesting to look at the different variations NYXL have been running in terms of their players over the last few years. Jonak has always been almost the focal point, the center of attention for the NYXL. Every kind of comp was focused around him to make sure he can succeed. And with a bunch of new rookies, being able to slot yourself into that team as being a support the Jonak kind of player, I think can be sometimes detrimental to how a player wants to play. Maybe they come in and they're just a flashy DPS that likes to play solo. Someone like Shax of sorts, who likes to just be this solo villain in your backline, just killing the enemy supports. And fitting into that team as that kind of player is not really aiding to what NYXL have previously been. So I wonder if they're going to kind of mold them into that, or JJoNak in a way has kind of shifted his style and the team structure has changed a little bit there. It seems a little bit less JJoNak orientated this year for sure, and with a lot of rookies coming in too, with rookies still on their bench as well, mind you, Guangbong being one specifically that I want to see eventually played. It's an exciting year for the NYXL, that is for sure. Of course, now the Spark, as we go into Havana as our next map, they need to find a little something here, Vicky.
Yeah, I would like to see something to change up here. I mean, Gushue was looking fantastic. He was doing a good job at splitting a lot of the attention on the ground, whereas Architect in that first round was on that Echo and actually utilizing the terrain so that way they could attack for the back line while being rather safely. And then at the same time, though, the NYXL was kind of doing something similar, whereas Flora on the hit scan with the Ashe was actually tacking on a lot of pressure, whereas the fixated attention was not only on Ivy, but also on Yakpeng and Bianca. So now looking at the next map that we're going to now, Jaws, what changes would you like to see from the Spark going forward? I mean, it was kind of going back and forth for that first map a little bit, but the NYXL still at the end seemed a lot more coordinated than the Spark.
Oh yes, indeedy. I want to see a little bit more brawl from the Spark. Maybe a little bit of dive too, if they're on the offense. That wouldn't go amiss. Some double bobble action, even with this Widowmaker in there as well. The streets of Havana, very deadly and very famous for how you can run basically any kind of DPS with long-range hit scan. Like you can run the Ashe with a damage boost, you can run the Widowmaker. Hangzhou is pretty good here as well. Double Sniper is the aim of the game normally when it comes to this map. Of course, with the changes to a lot of characters, and Batiste being a very, very strong, Brawl is exceptionally good here as well for forward holds, and it does look like they're doing just that. With MCD playing the Moira, fairly interesting. I think this is really just to gain the coalescence fast, but Batiste is so strong that I am questioning why he is playing the Moira here. As soon as they force the fade, you're going to die pretty quickly. I gotta say it's just for the coal here.
Yeah, the double Maywall coming in too. Yeah, I definitely agree. The coalescence at least get it quickly, so that way, yeah, they could at least back up. You currently have Friday and IDK on the Lucio, so that way the fast rotations could go in. Great Flash coming forward, but the Immortality Field and Gushue taking so much of that damage, he gets cleaned up first, and that's going to follow up by the rest of Spark. They may want to go for a reset here because the NYXL is already off to a strong foot.
Yeah, Yakpeng with 5, alright, give him the 6. Okay, but they're just going to stagger the Baby Diva, of course, but he's got to secure this kill, surely. Oh, they're freezing him too. That sucks if you are Bernard. Friday finished him off with a little boot there. I said they wanted to build up a fast coalescence. Yeah, Batiste AoE healing, it's pretty good. If anybody's ever played Batiste, I'm sure you have. Shift and then right click. Wow, look at that. 75% ult charge, you know. It's pretty quick. I think going down fairly early though as Architect dings him in the head.
Yep, that's a nice goal that you don't want served up on your ice cream here. No freezer burn, and instead NYXL, though, they're going to respect a bit of Spark, but the Ant Matrix is now going to be able to not only buy in some space, but tack on some of that pressure. The wall to negate that in the Immortality Field. JJoNak doing this, the juicy JJoNak plays that we are so used to seeing. Coalescence now coming alive from MCD to keep the rest of Spark alive and to allow this engagement to be successful here. They do find Yakpeng, and the NYXL may want to give this respect over to the Spark as they control that corner and this alleyway.
Yeah, that was a super nice freeze from Architect there. There was no way Yakpeng was going to go down to that Cole alone. They needed assistance for that. That's why Moira is not like crazy good either. There's a lot of AoE healing when it comes to Bap and the Lucio. Cole is not really doing all of anything. There's the High Noon. There's the Blizzard right behind the wall to try and free someone up. Self-destruct gets launched out as well.
Yeah, was being cautious right there. Ivy wanted to make sure that they could utilize that Blizzard without Bernard actually taking that in, and Flora finding Gushue, the sound barrier, to keep Spark alive. It may be too late right here, though, Jaws. Bernard taking not only so much of that damage, but being able to survive and getting out of that situation. Gushue will be able to try to come back and meet up with the rest of Spark, but NYXL now, they're trying to utilize this speed boost from Friday so that way they could potentially take the Spark, but I love the disengage from Spark, realizing the situation.
Yeah, they want to be able to back up as quickly as they can. Like here, Spark, of course, taking the high ground, but the window is going to force them to make an attempt at doing something. A wall to lift Flora up, and he gets instantly killed by the Coalescence.
That could have gone terribly wrong right there. Flora had a line of sight, but you know, he actually fell him. MCD actually reacting with that Coalescence to take him out, burn him out of the fight. Jonak is going to meet him in the spawn, and Yakpung now going to be able to retaliate with a shatter and finds Gushwei. The follow between Yakpung and Bianca is extreme, not only creating a lot of that space to wait out for the rest of NYXL to meet up with the team, but Godspeed now creating that space himself with the Deadeye, but it's to no avail here. Jaws Flora now finding IDK and the Spark. They may want to respect the NYXL.
Yeah, although Spark do actually lose that fight, Bernard was doing an exceptional job there of trying mitigating Jonak's healing by sitting on top of him using that defense matrix so Jonak can launch out those right clicks. But like you mentioned, Yakpung with the shatter instantly killed off Gushwei, so that was a one fight for them. Although Bernard doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that fight, he was rather unsuccessful. Ivy's going to be able to run in with Blizzard now, but Architect's closing in one of his own two. This wall into Blizzard combo is so nice because you can't defense matrix past that wall. They're potentially trying to do it again, but instantly you see there Bernard reacting, trying to get the defense matrix over the wall by landing on top of it.
Oh, they booped him, but he still was able to utilize the Blizzard, and a Blizzard for a Blizzard now to try to contest here. The Immortality Field actually helps keep Yakpung in this fight, as well as the wall coming in, the shatter as well, but not finding anyone, and now the Diva Bomb to go right over the May wall. They gotta be able to shield it, but they still find Friday in the back. Unfortunate placement right there from Friday. The Ant Matrix now to control this high ground, and that was the battle for the high ground between both these teams. They want to make sure they had that position advantage, and also to try to find some of those picks to build into those ultimates.
Yeah, support, by the way, is Jonak is just laser beaming everybody down. Like, there's nothing much you could do when he's sitting behind a window, just shredding shields, shredding health bars. Architect and Ivy do both throw in their Blizzards, but yeah, like you mentioned, didn't really get anything. They were able to either speed boost away or use the Immortality Field around a corner so it couldn't be killed, and then Yakpung and Gushwei were able to back off. Very close they are to the second point, though, as the next engage comes in.
Now the Ant Matrix, though, coming in from MCD, being able to find that window and opening to the door. The sound barrier coming alive from NYXL to allow the engage here. The way that IDK, though, was able to retaliate with sound barrier themselves, and the pin onto Jonak. Trading that, though, they've lost Gushwei from Flora's Deadeye. They need to stay on the point, or else they do contest it. They contested it right on time here, but the Blizzard is going to be able to create some of that space. They're dropping down one by one, and the Spark, they're finding trades, but the NYXL have that number advantage in their favor.
Wow, that's so nice. Even Jonak dying there didn't really mean a whole bunch because Ivy had his Blizzard. They just back off from the high ground. They're like, okay, that's fair enough. You can fight us and maybe kill us up there, but if we back up, use the Blizzard on point, you then have to insert yourself in the Blizzard, you're going to get frozen, and we're going to kill you real fast. Especially as Flora was holding the Deadeye for so long as well. It was really up to the Spark to make their move, but it was almost a lose-lose situation. You jump into the Blizzard, die from Blizzard killing you, or jump into that Deadeye and just get your head blown clean off. Godspeed on the Widowmaker now to try and contest from super long range. I want to see if they're going to switch over someone else to the Widow from the NYXL. I can imagine maybe Flora jumping on that, because Gushwei is going to be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, you see Godspeed now on the Widow. Yeah, Godspeed on the Widow. Yeah, Jonak actually falls through first, and he had the Ant Matrix at the same time. Immortality Field won't be in that fight, but it doesn't even matter here. NYXL, they're still pushing this advantage to find two on the DPS lineup of the Spark. Although finding the number advantage going in favor of Spark, they will be able to come right back in with some ultimates of themselves, but Architect had actually utilized his ultimate right there, and unfortunately he isn't going to be able to have it before Ivy here, and that could mean a lot considering the fact that we saw how they were able to utilize that Blizzard before, controlling that space. A window to the soul to stare at each other, though, and the ultimate economy coming forward. The Diva Bomb
he dies
Jonak.
Again.
Can Jonak have fun? He has not been able to actually be with the rest of NYXL after they were able to catch that point B. Flora now finds IDK, and the shatter coming alive from Gushwei. IDK is gone, though, and Gushwei is taking a lot of that damage. That leaves it up to MCD for that sustainability, and it's not going to be enough if the NYXL now have Friday's sound barrier to be able to hold aggressively forward.
Yeah, they don't need Jonak to win these fights apparently at all. They're able to just survive with the Lucio healing somehow. Jonak can fire a couple of right clicks from down range, but him dying first time, 3 fights in a row, pretty devastating. And something I harked on a little bit earlier, but I'll talk about that in a bit later. Deadeye Going to zone people out. The wall is there as well, and yeah, good luck. They're just going to push it in. Okay, there you go. Bernard couldn't do anything, and what was holding it at the door? Oh yeah, Blizzard. You can't move.
And
who was on the other door? Godspeed trying to find an off angle. So who's really going to touch there, huh? I mean, Godspeed throws himself on the payload and dies, or you get met by a Blizzard. Again, another lose-lose situation in that sense. This is what I was talking about at the start of the series here, Vicky, is having a bunch of rookies come in and join an NYXL team, which has more often than not been kind of centered around Jonak, and with him dying first up more often than not, I'm like, oh man. One, having the majority of your healing coming out from the Batiste, him dying first, pretty bad. And then also it being Jonak too, you're thinking, okay, they kind of lose this fight, right? But a lot of the time, Yukpeng and Guangzhou, they are the people to kind of duel it out in each other's backlines and just kind of running in the opposite directions. They kind of just want, okay, I'm just going to press W, I'm going to run at your supports. If they die, hey, we might win the fight. Guangzhou is kind of doing the same thing, but Yukpeng, more often than not, is coming out on top. They're just kind of letting him roam free almost.
I actually love the fact that you brought up Yukpeng and Guangzhou, because it was kind of like the way that they would brawl out against each other, just not only creating space, but also trying to prioritize position to allow the rest of their team to make their way and give them some of that support. It was Unga Bunga. I saw both these tanks. Yeah, both these tanks were making sure that they could make a statement with just some power plays going forward. But you know, Spark, they're on the attack this time around, and NYXL, they're already getting set up in position.
Yeah, okay. Thankfully, NYXL aren't playing the Moira on the defense, on the offense, sorry, the forward hold. Thank goodness. Godspeed's going to be able to take a nice side angle. If you're ever a support, by the way, you just hold up on that high ground real quick. It does you wonders, especially if your Batiste getting some nice angles. Speaking of angles, Godspeed angled to bullet right through Flora's temple, and Jonak dies again to a pin.
Okay, all right. One, that's unfortunate for Jonak, but two, the Spark coming out of the gate, swinging, sending the NYXL back, and oh no, this is revenge. This is revenge right now, Juz. This is you remember what happened in the last round? Well, I hope you keep remembering it, but this is going to be a big stagger.
Yeah, I think it will be. You know, they updated D.Va recently, of course, in the last patch.
250.
The remake used to do 50 damage if it landed straight on top of your noggin. Yeah, guess what it does now? 250 on live. Of course, we're not playing on live patch, so you don't really have to worry about that a D.Va flanking your rest of your team. But with Jonak dying to Godspeed once more, the Spark are just going to keep rolling this one through unless Yukpeng's got something to say about it. But yeah, with Friday and Flora going down, it's not to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Bernard was the only casualty that the Spark had lost right there, and not only are they building into some of these ultimates, they're pushing this payload over to point A. NYXL, they at least have some time to regroup and try to contest.
Yes, they will. I mean, they've got Shadow available. They can just play super far up, but look how far Ivy is away from Blizzard. Architect a couple of headshots, he'll be there, no problem, and they can even window really early. They do just that. High Noon comes out too.
Great wall right there, too, to try to contest. Force Godspeed out of position right there. The Shatter coming in. Jonak, he's out of this fight once again. Flora's going to meet him up. And the NYXL, it's going to be too much damage here, while the rest, Spark, they're going to be able to not only clear this point, but I love the way that they still have the sound barrier. They wiped up the NYXL, and they're building a lot of that momentum pushing forward after this point A.
Oh man, I mean, how bad does it feel to be Jonak right now? Every single fight you are taken down, either the first person to get taken down or the second. Like, the prioritization from the Spark here is just superb. However, you can also argue that, why is Jonak getting taken down first? It shouldn't be possible for him to get walked upon by a May and a McCree sitting in front of you. Godspeed falls this time first, and wow, that's a sticky situation for Architect to be in.
As well as the Blizzard. He does get eaten by Bianca. Taste of breakfast going forward, trying to wake all of us up. Guangzhou now pins Ivy, and Ivy actually had the Blizzard online. Ivy was trying to get set up in position. The sound barrier coming alive, and Friday's going to be able to pull a sound barrier as he just gets it for this fight. Yukpeng gets stunned, but he will be able to have Shatter if the Immortality Field saves him, which it does. The D.Va Bomb to create some of that space, and I like the way that Godspeed's positioned right here. He's just trying to tackle pressure.
How does he get those kills?
The shield was up. They actually made him turn around. If we had Bernard actually pressuring the backlines and Yukpeng was forced to actually flip around in that moment, that is actually huge, because that allowed Godspeed to not only get that pick, but now find Bianca and Friday at the same time and still expand this lead as they do push up to stop the NYXL.
Man, that is absolutely crazy. How do they keep finding these fights? And how does Guangzhou, by the way, keep finding pins on people like May and the Batiste? It's ridiculous.
Oh, these are answers that I love to watch happen real time. The Blizzard, though, finding both of the tank lineups between the Spark, and that's going to cause Guangzhou to fall through with the Shatter at the ready. Yakpeng now has the Shatter himself. He just wants to make sure he can clean up around Architect, which he does, and they control over to that high ground room. Another stagger coming forward onto Bernard. Oh, dearie me.
Well, I mean, the stagger isn't going to last too long, you can imagine. He's only a couple of HP left, but a really nice wall in from Ivy again to separate a lot of people. Immortality Field came out, but it didn't actually hit Bernard on the ground, and Guangzhou, yeah, his life bar was ticking really quickly down. Everybody was focusing him. The Immortality Field was history because everybody's shooting at it too. If it's right in front of you as well, not hiding around a corner, that Immortality Field health, that's gone in an instant, and Guangzhou was there to follow as well. Now they can wrap around on the high ground. It's going to be a good little position they're going to be in. However, Jonak using with the Deadeye, he can use the window in order to stave off the aggression just for the time being. But actually just collapsing through this small corridor is going to be a nightmare. They actually opt to just go through the payload route and hoping that the NYXL jump on top of them and they can use Blizzard.
Yeah, you saw Gosby actually was ready a little bit. Oh, he gets stunned from the backline floor, but he's the one that actually falls down. Bernard actually tried to peel for Godsby right there, and he actually shoved Flora not only back to the spawn, but also now they've been able to try to retake that high ground. The great Maywall coming alive, though, from Ivy to stop their approach, and the Diva Bomb is going to be able to find Friday. That's going to be the aggressor right here for the Spark to not only take control of this payload, but this high ground, too. It's going to be a cleanup as the NYXL. They're going to be able to meet up themselves back into the spawn, but at least they have some ultimates to work with when they try to reproach.
Yeah, but they haven't got Shatter, by the way. Yakpeng got charged into the wall, and Guangzhou managed to interrupt that Shatter.
Again.
Yakpeng tried to do the hero play there and actually shatter the rest of the Spark as they aggressed onto the high ground. There was a tale of two different directions again. The self-destruct came out from Bernard, and then Yakpeng had to look two different ways. And it's like, okay, I need to watch out for Guangzhou Shatter, but I need to block this self-destruct as well. And he tried to go for the hero slam on the ground, but Guangzhou was able to just telegraph that super easy, hit him with the pin, and killed him off against the wall. A forward hold here, however, with Ivy with the Blizzard. However, there's a Blizzard available, as well as that high noon from Flora around the corner.
Trying to control that space. The Shatter coming alive. Finding two, though, on that stun the sound barrier to keep the rest of NYXL alive. And then you have IDK to match that. Godsby with another dead.
Oh my god.
Flora and Friday, they fall through it. The NYXL, great wall coming alive from Architect. It's just going to be a cleanup here for the Spark, as they are going to be able to not only get this payload moving, but the NYXL, they're gone, and Spark leaving a statement.
Oh. Man, Godsby was known for his McCree a long time ago, and you can still see doesn't need to brush off any cobwebs. Ivy's still got the Blizzard, thankfully, but now you're fighting against a Widowmaker as well, and look at the space they've actually taken too. So Godsby can just sit in this little perch and just snipe away. Anybody that drops their shield, yeah, you're as good as dead. However, maybe a little bit more careful now as Jonak uses the window.
Oh, and they immediately dive on Godsby. That NYXL actually wasted no time on doing that. Not only did Friday follow up, but Bianca was on his tail, and now they've been able to not only reclaim the payload, but control this corner. It's going to be a little difficult as a Spark. They're forced to regroup, and maybe we will see a change from Godsby, as he did go over to the Widow when they were on defense for that last point as well, since it does provide some of that extra room to work with.
Yeah, Godsby he got owned by the window there. He didn't necessarily die to the window, but it forced the rest of his team back so Friday and Bianca could jump on top of him. Blizzard at the spawn doors, touch the spawn door challenge completed as Bernard is ejected from the mech. He couldn't enter the spawn room because guess what was in the way? Yeah, it was a wall. So now they're going to have to go for the full reset. Nice little headshot on him as well, just to make him a little bit more sad.
Oh, that's tragic. Bernard actually did that only one time in Bianca. They've done like 3 times Bernard on this map. We'll be able to get back in.
Vicky.
Yeah, they need to get on this point, but the NYXL, they're so aggressively pushed up. Flora's about to build into this Deadeye. You already see the way that Flora's currently right here does try to get the stun at the same time, and now the Diva Vet coming in to force out the respect. Yakpeng does have that shield
Jonak dies
but
again.
Guangzhou finds Jonak with the fire strike, and at the same time, Yakpeng now trades that for IDK. Big Diva Bomb coming in from Bianca, and NYXL are taking too much damage as this Blizzard not only controls that space, but potentially now has saved Spark, as they are going to be on this payload as the timer runs out.
Oh man, that was a really nice forward hold from NYXL, by the way. Like, look at how much space they created, plus the payload was moving back that entire time, so they have to re-push ground that they already claimed earlier. OT is here, they step off the payload, it is going to be done and dusted for this second map. Flora's got the high noon ready and waiting to go. It's up to IDK to try and negate a lot of this damage with this beat coming up very soon as well. Friday's got one to match 2, but this point is incredibly hard to finish. Havana in general is a very, very tough map to actually complete with time in the bank, and you can see why, especially with these rush comps. Holding at your spawn door is the name of the game. They're not, luckily enough, able to take the high ground on the D.Va, but they are slowly inching it towards this payload, but now it's into the warm grasps of the NYXL.
I love the respect from both these teams that we're seeing right here. The wall actually trying to isolate Spark. Gushwei gets frozen, but the sound barrier from IDK tries to save him, but it's not enough here. Jaws, Architect, and Gushwei, they fall to NYXL and nobody there. I mean, you had the D.Va right there, but the NYXL, they just cleared the point and they take the second map, putting themselves at map series.
Yeah, it was perfect. They knew exactly what their win condition there was, which was the May ultimate in the end. All they needed to do was just, like I said, trickle the payload in, just let it approach the third point, but not cap it, and then just build up as many ults as they possibly could by just dancing around. If they do lose one early, it's not too much of a big deal because your spawn is right there. Ivy was able to build up the Blizzard. Bada bing, bada boom, he throws it on the payload and they're able to just kind of finish from there. Because Gushwei or like somebody from the Spark was having to touch the payload, so you're then met with a very, very frosty death. I want to see a little replay actually of Gushwei charging into Yukpung, because it looked like he was
when
charging
he pulled the shatter.
No, an infinite amount of time on that very last point.
Oh,
he was on the payload. Yeah, because I think
montage.
Friday booped him to stop him from actually pinning Yukpung against the wall and just enabled the freeze to happen a little bit quicker so he couldn't get any extra damage off. That was a very, very close fight. Maybe if Gushwei managed to pin Yukpung, he could have been saved by the immortality field, but with that, NYXL, they're going to take the second map and match point in this series as well. They're 2-0 up, and they might just win their first series of the 2021 split as well.
And we'll be able to see that if the NYXL does manage to close things off in a clean 3-0 versus the Spark. After this break, don't go anywhere because we're going on to map number 3.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, NYXL 2-0 up in the series and potentially getting their first win of the 2021 season here at the Overwatch League. My name is Jaws, of course, joined by Vicky as always, and the Spark not looking so hot. They also need to claim their first win of the season too. It's not looking so great for them right now, being down 2 maps, but they can always springboard back into the action. And NYXL, I will say, looked a little bit sloppy, especially Jonak dying so often very, very early on, but it didn't really seem to matter at all, and there was a reason why. It was Ivy and his Blizzards, and yeah, we saw the stat card at the very start of the game, or before the game started even. First in damage across Mays in the Overwatch League currently, and 4.6 kills with Blizzard per 10 too. His Blizzards, that's a tongue twister almost. I'm trying to make it into a tongue twister to make myself feel better. But his Blizzards are doing so much to stop this Spark aggression.
Yeah, try to drop the beats out here. You're freestyling. No,
hey, bro, it's 2 a.m. I'm allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. We're waking up, and NYXL is helping us do that right now, especially looking at Ivy and his space control with those blizzards, as well as the fact that he gets it really quickly. But I want to look at the Spark. I recognize that Godspeed, he was doing so well, but when the moment he swapped over to the Widow for both defense and attack when they were getting to that last point, we recognize that the structure could allow him to actually find those picks that he could find safely. But I felt like every time he would swap over to the Widow, that momentum seemed to kind of halt for the Spark. You saw NYXL, they even took full advantage, pushed into their spawn at the very end of Havana there. Hopefully going into this next map though, Jaws, we see a little bit of a different pacing coming in from Spark.
Yeah, third map is going to be 2CP, and I believe it's going to be Volskaya Industries as well. So, Widowmaker, probably not. And although I will say, I do really enjoy the Widowmaker on Havana, especially that last point. And Spark set up for it perfectly, too, on their offense. On their offense, they managed to get Godspeed in that little hut that is just before the gates, and that's perfect, because then you push forward and you give the Widowmaker all the space. Problem was, NYXL knew that was going to happen, used the window, and then the rest of Godspeed's team exited stage left, and he was left alone. And Friday and Bianca just dove him and insta-killed him. So a perfect setup, but the McCree was really needed at the very end as soon as they kind of got spawn held. But almost a perfect understanding of how the composition works too. You should be spawn holding ideally, especially in those situations where the cart needs a lot of time to kind of roll back, because you gain so much more than just obviously ult charge and some more time off the clock. That payload moving all the way back almost a second point, man, like that is a lot of extra time. Spark have to then recover. It's like 2 stabs with a knife rather than just the single one, you know? I think that's a phrase. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's late in the evening.
Make it one.
And I'm still waking up, kind of.
Copyright.
We're going on to our third map anyway, and I don't think there are going to be any substitutions either, but I want to see Grongbong, man. His Widowmaker is crazy. He's been performing exceptional, at least in the scrims that people have seen, but I don't think we're going to see that just yet, unless there's a Widowmaker meta, which might come around soon.
Well, we'll see about that. Although, now working with what we've seen so far between both these teams, going into Volskaya, what kind of change are you expected to see from the Spark? I mean, I'm not expecting to see the Widow anymore, but going forward, anticipating what the Spark are now down 2-0, they need to figure something up.
Apparently, I willed it into existence and didn't look to my left. Guangbong is actually in.
Oh,
okay,
hey.
well, there you go. I willed it in.
Hey.
Mind reader. Perfect. Guangbong is in. Excellent work, everybody. Excellent work. Now we'll look to the left ever so slightly a little bit more often to make sure I know that's coming up. Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about Spark then on the defense for Volskaya. I mean, I don't think we'll see anything too different. It's still a very, very good map for the rush comps. Although you can run a little bit of Winston on the offense, taking the box control on the front of just after the gate, after the little truck, is very nice to do. You can also play something like a Farah as well, play up on the high ground. It does like, however, the NYXL are on defense first, so it's going to be what their comp is going to say about the rest of their team first. So let's have a look. So Guangbong is on the Ashe long-range hit scan, then Yukpung is going to be there disrupting the background, and kind of what we saw on Busan as well, Vicky, where they sit around and just play chess. They just kind of move around the map as a solid unit, and then it's up to Ivy and Yukpung to take advantage of the amount of damage that Guangbong from a very, very far distance can deal with dynamites and just pop shots as well at the front line of the Spark.
Yeah, I really like this, actually. Taking a look at the Spark, Bernard on the Zarya, making that difference maker to build into that charge, while Guangzhou is going to be able to disrupt the piece with some assistance from Architect to dive onto that back line. You already see as they do get set up into position here. And the NYXL, I like the way that they're going to be playing this too, considering the fact that Ivy is going to disrupt the piece from afar. You made note of it. Guangbong going to be able to be on that high ground. They're taking a lot of that damage, though, already. Already needing healing. Luckily, though, Jonak on the Zen to be able to heal from afar, and they are able to regroup together.
Yeah, the bubble here from Bernard is going to be imperative to make sure Guangzhou can actually land a successful pile driver or even just swing through people to knock people off the high ground. And then Godspeed, of course, can just shoot heads from afar like he's doing currently. Has to be a little bit more careful, though, because Ivy is right next to him, just pressuring him out. Oh, Architect takes one to the dome. Very quick reset maybe here for the Spark at least. Guangzhou is going to have to play way more careful at this point. He cannot be doing any funny business in the backline of NYXL if he doesn't have the Tracer there to distract a little bit more. You can see him playing super far away. Those Discord orbs are something to be feared.
Absolutely, especially seeing that the NYXL, they're grouped up together. They do have Friday on the Brigida to make sure that Guangzhou isn't too much of a threat on the backlines. But Godspeed, he's been getting away with not only taking a lot of that pressure, but he's slowly building into that Bob. Architect, though, rather having the Pulse Bomb at the ready, does have that Discord Orb on them as they are going to respect the NYXL on this high ground. He's going to be able to dive right back in and does find Bianca at the same time. That's going to be a big deal because now that allows the Spark to push right in, get a little aggressive. Now with Ivy falling, the number advantage goes in favor to the Spark, and they are going to be able to get that first take for the point.
Yeah, no more protection for the supports or the DPS for the NYXL as soon as Bianca does end up going down. He's only got one rock, and it takes a couple of seconds to reposition that shield to stop all that damage coming in. So that sticky was absolutely perfect from Architect. Now they're going to move to second point, and look at the ultimates online for the Spark. I'd be worried if I were them for this Bob. I mean, that can force out Transcendence really easily, but a bubble in onto Guangzhou again is going to be the name of the game, and Architect following up. They've got MCD's Transcendence to stop that flux damage, but Bianca's not been doing any damage whatsoever. 45% ult charge on the Sigma, not great.
It's a hard life out here. Ronak does have that Transcendence at the very least, and Yakpeng does get stunned, but gets out of that situation, building into those mines. NYXL, they're looking great on Ultimate Economy, but Spark do too, as they are going to be able to move in aggressively. A Bob for a Bob, it's a Western standoff, but the minefields is going to be able to control some of that spacing. The bombs, unfortunately, they're falling through, and Godspeed is going to allow the rest of the Spark to move right over in. The rally coming alive to keep this aggression, and they're booting the NYXL off. MCD, we see you clicking heads. We see you've been talking about Godspeed real quick, but meanwhile MCD is out here and has a Transcendence to match that, and nobody left from the NYXL to touch.
Okay, pretty nice from rookie MCD there, clicking two heads of the DPS. Not only Ivy trying to jump in and kill him on the Tracer, but prior to that, he just managed to get a right click on Guangpong, another rookie superstar for the NYXL. My God, that is what you want for your Zen player, man. Jonak stand over, MCD has arrived. 4 minutes, a complete reset of the time bank pretty much for the Spark. Not too bad whatsoever. Super nice. As soon as you get one of those picks, you just hit that rally key. You just jump straight in. IDK is not going to go down quickly. The pulse bomb from Ivy is going to be the one thing that is going to deter somebody from popping the rally. I mean, you're an easy, almost sitting duck if you do pop the rally for that pulse bomb, but Ivy wasn't able to attach it and wasn't even able to get near IDK. The Sigma pick from Bianca, I want to touch on this again real fast because I mentioned he had 45% ult charge when they got pushed to second point. Like, you got to think why that is. Who's he really doing damage to? The Hyperspheres do a fair chunk of damage, especially against like chunky front lines, but there isn't really a chunky front line for Spark. They're going in as individuals, and they are also sitting back. I say individuals, Guangzhou and Architect obviously diving in together, but they're not like actually on top of each other. Bianca's not getting any damage really done. He's there to play goalkeeper, or in a sense, right, to all the damage that Architect and Guangzhou are going to do to Jonak on Friday. So, not even getting a flux online, and then MCD having the Transcendence anyway because he's the Zen doing damage from range. It's a tough life out here, honestly, for Bianca.
Yeah, especially after the Spark were able to take that first point pretty convincingly, and also were able to kind of skirmish over to the side and build into some of those ultimates. They knew that they could get really aggressive there. And NYXL, though, now coming out of the gates on the attack this time around. MCD making sure he can move into clicking domes going into the next round, and he does so onto Ivy, and that's going to put a dent to Yakpeng's plans, as they do have to now respect MCD's Discord that could actually deal a lot of damage with the follow-ups that we're seeing from the rest of Spark.
Yeah, that's doing a little bit of damage, I think, to your mental as well. That's the second time Ivy's small head has been clicked on. My old word. MCD doing a good Jonak impression almost, trying to teach him a few new things, that is for sure. NYXL at least have gained a little bit of position here onto the high ground as well. Yakpeng managing to shove Banar off it. And Architect finding a pick onto Guangbong. It's pick after pick after pick onto the DPS of the NYXL as well. So now there's no real long-range pressure apart from the Zenyatta, and I say that as Godspeed then kills off Zen. So slowly but surely, the Spark are whittling away at the NYXL, and now because 2 people are dead, they can almost move in here with immunity, just killing them off and feasting on their ult charge.
Grav is slowly coming online for Bernard. MCD, though, falls through. That means no pressure from Discord is going to come alive. At least he will be able to build into that next round of Transcendence. And the rest of Spark, they stave NYXL off. Sparmong being able to take care of Architect at the same time. But the respect is still there, and Spark, they're going to back off a little bit.
There we go. Okay, complete reset, no ticks acquired, and 2 minutes gone already. Bianca is 63% towards a Flux. MCD, yeah, he's going to have that Transcendence, no worries. Please, please, please save the please. Oh my god. If Bernard died there, I would have been very upset. IDK dies, though, to Ivy, as all that damage from the long-range Ashe was able to chunk him out just a little bit. Bob's going to come out from Godspeed to pressure the point as well, or at least try to, but he gets taken out by Jonak. 1 tick now acquired as they do use the mines and the Transcendence to try and clear them off as Architect lands a 2-man pulse bomb on that grab.
Oh man, that opportunity that was presented to itself from the NYXL after they took care of IDK, that was immediately shut down the moment that Architect came into play, and the Transcendence from MCD to help out that sustainability for the rest of the team. NYXL, their time bank is dwindling away before their eyes, and the Spark are still happily sitting on that first point with that 4-minute time bank that they were able to push out for the attack.
Yeah, they got 1 minute remaining now, and they're running into Rally too. I mean, not an ultimate to be scoffed at, the press Q to win button. At least Friday's got his online as well. Maybe you throw the Bob into pressure. Mine's going to come in first though.
And Mine's now coming in to stop that rotation over to the point, but it doesn't matter. We're taking care of those minefields quickly, and NYXL, they really didn't do much off of that. Instead, they're actually opting to go in for position advantage and rotate over to that high ground. Like the way that Spark is playing this, though, they're not trying to overextend at the same time. Bernard racking in some of that extra damage to charge into that energy. Now Bianca finding Gushway, though, it's a big deal. Despite IDK utilizing that rally, it's not going to be enough, and the Gravitic Flux at the end of that rally is going to send them down. Bernard is going to be meeting themselves back into the spawn, but Architect also finding the pressure onto the DPS lineup of the NYXL.
MCD!
Spark! They still managed to find these picks here, Jaws, and MCD, we got our eyes on you. He's looking at Jonak and he's telling him, I'm the captain now. And the Spark are being able to hold back the NYXL for this entire point.
Wow, that was absolutely ridiculous. Finally, Bianca got a Flux online, did result in a kill, but nothing more than that. Wow. There it is, they can't even touch the Spark, eventually coming alive in the series, and hey, taking the 3rd map, you're not out just yet. Now you got to claim a couple more. A full reverse sweep is in order currently. Oh my word, that was a defense and a half. I mean, the NYXL just got rotated on time and time again. So many picks from MCD, so many picks from Godspeed, Architect alike as well. What a rough offense from the NYXL. I do not like Bianca picking up that the Sigma at all. It took him 3 minutes, basically, and 3 minutes and 30 seconds, if I count correctly, to actually build up to a Flux. Like, that is a long time. He manages to kill one important target, mind you, in the Zarya, but still 3.5 minutes. It's a little bit too long for my liking for the NYXL. And plus you have to move as this kind of small fortress, like I said before, right? And if you're getting picked off by people like MCD, that's the one thing that your comp kind of counters. These big picks that come from the right clicks from the Zen, or just like this long-range damage, or even someone on the flank as a tracer. You're there to hunker down and make sure that they can't come anywhere near you. But they were just kind of failing it, just that, setting up that little Minecraft fortress, you know?
Yeah, and it's troublesome too, because meanwhile you have MCD with those Disco Orbs to make sure that Architect gets the full damage output that they could potentially get, especially after watching Architect get that double pulse bomb pickoff following up from Bernard's grab. Overall, the Spark, they finally found their footing here within the series, and they do take map number 3. Very potential reverse 3-0 here from the Spark if they do manage to maintain this momentum going forward into map number 4.
Yes, they do, and we'll find out if they can maintain that after this break. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile.
Welcome back, and we got a series on our hands with the Spark taking map number 3 versus the NYXL after the NYXL put themselves on match point, taking the first 2 maps within the series.
Yeah, not too bad whatsoever. We're heading to King's Row as our hybrid map. And yeah, I'm sorry to break the news. Guangbong is actually out now. We are having Flora come back in. The man just couldn't... Oh, he just can't catch a break, dude. He comes in for his first debut game. It's Volskaya 2. Not my favorite map, of course. I'm not sure it's many other favorites maps either, but... He comes in, ends up losing, and then gets benched immediately, which kind of blows. I was really excited to see more Guangbong later on in the series, but hopefully NYXL do bring him out later in the season. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed. Flora back in with Ivy. Definitely means we're going back to this this Brawl comp. And King's Row being almost the perfect map and perfect place to run Brawl as well. I can't imagine we're going to see too much Winston here. NYXL, they tried a little bit of something different with the Sigma. It really didn't work out. So running Ball seems like their best bet, especially when you have Jonak on the Batiste too. The guy's a monster at just dealing damage. And what better hero currently to do that than Window Man and Batiste? I mean, you just sit there with Window, shoot through it, does double damage, and you're basically a DPS as a support. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, you also have MCD that we got our eyes out on for, and considering the fact that MCD on Volskaya was absolutely popping off, playing DPS Zen, and also just not only helping that, but being able to position himself properly so that way the sustainability after losing IDK, that very end when NYXL actually finally made their way onto the point, the Transcendence, the grab, and then the Pulse Bomb retaliation made sure the Spark made a statement on that map, and now the NYXL making some changes, getting Flora and Ivy back together on this DPS role. They took the first 2 maps in this composition and they're like, you know what, let's not change anything, let's just go back to what we were comfortable with. And the NYXL, they're going to be coming out of the gates on the attack.
Yes, they are. There you go. We got the Symmetra as well from Flora to TP, possibly to high ground. Try and force people away. Yeah, there it is. They want to just kill IDK and MCD. That is the name of the game. They're going to run straight towards them and uh-oh, Bernard's in trouble.
Oh, they're having a party. They're having a party. Bernard, you're gone. You're set back. Unfortunately, you're not invited to this get-together. And now the NYXL, they're moving right over. I love the way that they're rotating here. Not only did they boot the Spark off of this high ground here and find that pick onto Bernard? They're making sure you guys are getting sent all the way back. We're making sure that you will not contest this point while we get this payload out of the garage. Godspeed, you have met the same fate with Bernard.
Excuse
and Architect.
me?
You guys can... Yukpung? Alright, you know what? NYXL, they were tired of playing these games on Blue Sky, and they're here on Kings Row right now, Jaws, to make sure that they are not going to get contested.
Okay, fastest time to int on a Tracer challenge from Architect there. Just stood in front of Yukpung's charge. You're not touching the point now. They're just burning extra time. There's no way you can do anything.
Yeah.
Jonak does get a full volley, actually, of sticky bombs there from Architect, but is going to be able to save himself with the Immortality Field. Point is completely capped by NYXL, and now they do get the payload moving eventually. Architect, yeah, you're dead, son. Nothing else to really do. That looked like Ivy was typing in chat there. He definitely, I want to see chat. Like, what did he say? He definitely hit that enter key and was typing some mad chat towards Architect for stabbing himself. That was a YOLO pin as well from Yukpung. I'm pretty sure Architect didn't mean to be there. He just accidentally caught him. There's no way that that Yukpung meant to get that pin on the Tracer. But forward hold here, very nice. One person on the payload, they're going to speed out, and I think they smell something's wrong here.
Oh, they definitely know. They know. They know that something's wrong. They see one person's on that payload moving. Where's the rest of the team? And look, here they come, rotating right back in. They want to try to sandwich the Spark going forward. They do have Gushwei's minefields, though, that could try to keep them locked into that alleyway if they're not careful. You currently have right here the sound barrier coming alive, or rather, just building into that sound barrier from Friday. And you currently have Architect managing to take care of Jonax, the Mortality Field, and now the Windows online. Not only going to be able to buy in some of that space, but the Spark, I love the disengagement. They recognize the situation, and they're opting to just go over to that side house to try to match that with the NYXL. Here comes those minefields that we were looking at, and Bianca finding Godspeed, and the rest of Spark taking a lot of that damage. Thankfully, they have that res and the Transcendence to keep the rest of Spark alive, and this is actually going great for them after they take out Bianca first in this fight. Ivy with the Blizzard is going to be able to control this point, and they're just going back and forth here, Jaws.
Yeah, they are. With Architect taking out Yukpung, that's a pretty big pick, but trapped in this very small bar room. MCD luckily killing off Jonak, but Ivy is still there, freezing your entire team. Gushwei, he's dead, too much CC, and even Architect decides to join for a cheeky pint. I mean, yeah, that looked very chaotic. There were, again, 3 fights happening at once, but NYXL looked very undisciplined there in how they wanted to actually approach that at the beginning of the fight. They looked like they wanted to go high ground, and then they were like, okay, we'll window streak to try and kill the D.Va. Forgetting D.Va has thrusters, she jumps to the high ground, but we're approaching point 2 now, and the high dude's coming out from NYXL.
Yeah, the Shatter came out from Yukpung right there, and now Flora is going to be able to try to use that. Oh, he was forced out of it. He did not want to get picked off by that. He actually repositioned himself, gave that positioning over. Architect on the duplicate, gets that Shatter online, doesn't find anyone, but Flora now instead finds MCD. Luckily, IDK's positioning has been phenomenal, is going to be able to build into that Valk very soon to help out that sustainability, and MCD does it again. We see you, we know, we have our eyes on you as he takes care of Jonak. That's a statement to be made, but Friday gets that revenge. Despite that, though, the NYXL, they're still holding on. Friday's about to get sound barrier, and they are going to try to contest the Spark here. After the tank lineup, they get overly aggressive. He's going to back off instead. They know that the number advantage isn't in their favor, and Spark are going to be able to hold that defense.
MCD is actually solo carrying right now on the Zen. Like, that is ridiculous. Just 2 massive picks, not only on the Kree that was trying to go for a big flank flashbang right click, but then also picks off Jonak from super far away as well. Jonak thought he was safe, he wasn't. MCD was lurking around those corners, and that is in just a ridiculous fight to win too. The payload is now going to slowly trickle back, and being able to regroup as 6 on this point is normally pretty tough. They are switching over to more of a dive-orientated comp with Jonak on the Arna now, and Flora on the Sombra. Big ultimates to look out for, though. Ivy with the Blizzard. Mines are going to come out first, though.
Yeah, that dynamic actually was pretty big too. Built into that Bob coming up right now. Sound barrier from Friday to keep NYXL back into this fight. Bianca does have that D.Va bomb to control some of that space, but currently have MCD with the Transcendence instead. And Architect finally finding their footing, finding Ivy, as well as Ivy going down with that Blizzard. They are going to try to disengage here. Spark, they're just making sure that there's nobody else left from the NYXL to try to contest them on that high ground.
Yeah, they know they can't win the fight. Like, as soon as Ivy and he switches from Blizzard.
What?
Okay,
Okay.
IB switches to Tracer away from May and gives up Blizzard there. They're really feeling they can find no value. I mean, the kite is super far pushed back. I can kind of see it because if it was on the first point, in the second point, it might have been worth it. Bob kills Ivy though, as Architect transforms into Winston.
And you have less than a minute on board here for the NYXL to take the second point, and it's not going to happen. The duplicate coming in from Architect is not only going to send everybody to Shadow Realm, instead NYXL, they have to respect Architect, and they are going to go for this potential last push.
Yeah, so real quick there again before the fight kicked off. If the payload was actually on second point, it would have made sense to keep the Blizzard. I kind of see their thinking because it's so far back that no one from Spark has to and is forced to contest, but it seems like a big waste to me. We'll see if it does hurt them. 2 supports and the self-destruct online, as well as that mine's coming up for the Spark, as we have a nano for Jonak, but Flora needs a CMP to potentially make this fight winnable for the NYXL. Nano onto Yukpong to start the fight.
Yeah, I got my eyes too on MCD, who has a Transcendence. Flora does manage to find that. Oh, but MCD actually uses the Transcendence first here. Now going all in. NYXL, they finally find themselves on this payload. The Valkyrie to keep the rest of Shock alive. Guangzhou taking a lot of that damage. He falls through and he was about to get minefields. Godspeed makes the swap over to the Tracer to quickly get back, but it's too late right now. They're cleaning up the point. NYXL, they finally get onto that second point that they were able to struggle with a little bit versus the Spark.
Yeah, okay, they finally make it work, even without the Blizzard. MCD, I don't know if you guys saw where he was. He was on the flank, trying to find some kills. I mean, yeah, pretty aggressive, but I would be too. Feel himself a little bit. I know, I'm a Zen player, like, I understand that. You find a couple of kills on the flank one time, you try it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then I die repeatedly, and then I switch off the pick.
Oh, this is the engagement right here. I like the follow from Ivy. They wanted to retaliate from the EMP, and they do have that pulse one, but they find Jonak here. And that was some assistance from the Discord that they had onto Jonak, making sure that Jonak isn't a threat. And Bianca now is going to get demeched, and this is Spark's opportunity to reclaim this corner to send NYXL back, especially with their limited time ban.
Oh, MCD guys, it goes down to Flora. EMP wasn't overly successful as they now end up backing off. However, Flora's built not a bad ult bank already. 50% towards another EMP. I wouldn't be scoffing at that anytime soon. Architect with the copy though, this is going to be the deal breaker here for the NYXL. All he needs to do is copy Yukpong. As soon as that comes in, Friday has to hit that rally button. If Jonak goes down here, it's basically all over. He's so close to this nano, and look how Spark are playing, so aggressive.
Wait, Ivy now has gone through. There's less than 20 seconds on board here, Jaws. Nano Boost will be online very shortly to allow Yukpong to go right in. Bianca's also building into that Diva Bomb. Friday with the rally to help the sustainability. Architect does have that duplicate though to go in for a reset, and this could make it or break it here. Yukpong now is going to be able to hold the front lines, deal on a lot of that pressure. Overtime is now unlocked, but the EMP is going to be built in for Flora, and that's going to be crucial here to keep the Shock at bay.
Jonak's dead.
Godspeed finds Jonak though with the Deadeye, and the EMP comes in. Huge EMP at that. Not only finding 5, but is going to be the cause of Bernard to go down. Architect is going to need him, and Guangzhou won't be able to utilize the minefields. Overtime ticking away, and now utilizing the Diva Bomb to control this space will look to be a grim situation from the NYXL. Has now reversed into a good situation with Ivy making that swap over to the Tracer.
All right, not very successful first EMP, built into a second one super fast, hit 4 or 5 people there and managed to turn the fight. I said Friday needs to smash that rally key as soon as that the Winston came in, but he didn't need to. Not like almost instantly, but as soon as Jonak got jumped on after he used that nano, he smashed rally. Perfect. Jonak gets all the armor in the world, and then CC just layered on top of Architect to make sure he can't use that primal and knock people off or just even out of position in order to get killed. Pretty damn good if you're the NYXL, and you should be feeling yourself right now. Yeah, you got beaten up just a little bit on Voskaya Industries. You want to get your head in the game again. And completing King's Row, not a single second of time in the time bank, but I mean completing it, especially after a disastrous second point. You're feeling pretty okay. Not great, but you're feeling okay.
Yeah, they went from prioritizing their positioning on that first point to get that payload moving and doing such a good job at pressuring back the Spark that in that second point, it gave enough time for the Spark to actually regain themselves, build into some of those ultimates, and also control that high ground and sandwich the NYXL. Although now the Spark is on the attack, and if we're going to see a similar situation come forward between the Spark and NYXL, we'll see about that. as the NYXL now they're getting into position to negate Godsby, who is on that Widowmaker to get a quick pick.
They even switch over the Hangzhou too. Just one sneaky headshot on a support or a DPS there is really nice. Guangzhou's just setting up for the long flank on the Wrecking Ball. And they're setting up, it's obviously a bit of a different comp. Thank God Bianca is actually on the Zarya, not the Sigma again. Although you get to do a little bit more damage because King's Row is a little enclosed.
Yeah.
It's still a better pick. This CC Chen and Yukpung, is he actually going to go down? I don't think so. Architect unfortunately cannot finish the kill. Really nice layering of the CC there to make sure they can chunk him out. Spark are being able to touch already though. 33%? They're going to get a tick? No, doesn't look like it.
They know Ivy used recall already. You see Architect and Guangzhou setting up a position and the high ground. Oh, Floor! All right, sneeze on Architect, send them back. No more Architect to pressure on this high ground. Could put a dent to Guangzhou's plans here, but the way that Spark is playing, very split up at the same time. Ooh, that was a pressure tool right there for Floor, but he will be able to take some cover, get some healing, and build into some of those ultimates for MCD's Transcendence and IDK's Rally.
Yokpun's doing a good job of just contesting Banar, making sure they can't get that first tick. Architect almost goes down again, forced to recall already. Wow. They're just focusing down Architect like it's nobody's business. Okay, 33%, not bad at all. At least get one tick, but still getting chunked out from afar. Ivy can just launch in a pulse bomb whenever he pleases or wait for this Graviton Surge, but rather unlikely as Bianca's only 50% of the way there. And Ivy taking the kill, or getting the kill, sorry, an Architect, and another one on Bernard too. So, okay, big reset once more. MCD's dead. Jonak trying to take his crown back is the best Zen in the world.
Making a save. All right, you had your fun for these few rounds, but, you know, I'm Jonak at the end of the day, and was a former MVP out here. He does have that Transcendence coming in, MCD as well to match that, but NYXL, they're looking really strong. Got my eyes on Ivy, though. Not only taking care of Architect, but had utilized that pulse bomb to get that follow from the rest of NYXL to pressure out Spark. Architect now, rather, does have the pulse bomb themselves, as they are going to try to go into the back lines, followed up by some support from Guangzhou. Ultimate economy looking at NYXL, though, is a little grim, as the Spark, they're not too far off, but this could really make it or break it if the Spark want to take their time in getting this point.
This is so slow, though, from the Spark. I mean, they're just getting halted at every single hurdle, either an ult or just a single pick. Guangzhou is going so low. Discord Orb and a Bob shooting at him as well as everybody else, too. With Pulse Bomb locked in, can't get anything, but forces Transcendence.
Yeah, the Transcendence comes in from MCD, and he had to at the same time right there, but was it worth it? IDK had fallen, and with the rally, too. The Minefields actually finds Flora, but the NYXL, they're still leading in numbers, and look at this charge. Bianca wasting no time to melt away the rest of the Spark. And these Minefields are still finding members of the NYXL, but they will be able to try to get back in before this last attempt on Spark to push on this point.
Yeah, this could be their last attempt actually on this map and in this series too. I mean, NYXL now need to hold for 50 seconds and they win the series. Ivy with Pulse, as all they really have to bear. IDK's got their rally. You just need to force the issue, really, if you're the Spark right now. Guangzhou again is trying to set up. He's trying to just pounce onto Flora. MCD's taken extremely low, popping that rally. Needs to be able to shield off all the damage coming towards MCD. He's going to be able to keep a couple of people nice and healthy. Yukpung goes down as well. Finally, they get their second tick online as Ivy falls too. This could be the Spark now taking the first point. It looks like it's going to be. The Q to win button was pressed by IDK, and they eventually get the payload moving. But look at that time bank, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to move through this second point. And like, how slow were they before? NYXL just had them on read. Like, there was absolutely no way they were getting in. It was like a pick here, a pick there, and an ultimate there to stop them moving. Okay, and now we have to reset because Bob's out. It was an absolute mess, and it was only until everybody kind of pressed Q at once with the grabs and the pulses and the minefields that they really got something going.
Disrupting the piece. Ivy still fights MCD. IDK, all right. The support lineup, you're gone. And NYXL, they're going to run away with that, knowing that Guangzhou not only has a Discord Orb on him, but he's alone. There's nothing that could help sustain him as MCD goes down the drain. And NYXL, this is difficult. When it comes to fighting past this choke point, you do have that side to try to at least find a different rotation right back to contest the NYXL. But at the same time, the NYXL, they're building into some of these ultimates. Architect does have that pulse bomb. He could find at least Jonak or Friday over to the back. It could be a difficult situation, but that is Friday that you have to get around with that shield bash, as you don't want to get caught by that. And Guangzhou is going to try to help support Architect.
Gushue is going to try and roll himself to the backline yet again. He's very, very close to the minefield. It's just the pressure of the pulse bomb here. Jonak, yeah, he's going to be able to dodge that straight behind the bookshelf. And Architect on fires. Might not get healed, actually. Someone's going to have to care him very fast. Gushue falls, and this bookshot that they're holding is working out very, very well for them. Gushue's taking these long flanks, but as soon as they kind of hear him run behind them, Jonak and Friday and Flora, they end up just scurrying to the mini health pack, and Gushue doesn't really have a way in. Like, he's going to get coach gunned, he's going to get stunned, discorded, and he's going to have to use the minefield, which he's only just gone online to disturb that. Flora's going for a very cheeky flank on the backline here.
Wants to disturb the beast. Fine ahead. MCD's right there. MCD's right there. Oh, but the Transcendence coming in to actually negate the grab. Actually kind of put a dent to Flora's plans to kind of actually manage to get MCD. Now being able to follow up though. Again. Flora is still on fire. Does drop down from that high ground to make sure to follow up with the rest of NYXL, and Spark. They're sent back to the spawn with less than 40 seconds in the time bank to take it to that second point here, Jaws.
Oh, that was disgusting. He just ran through Architect, bullets spraying everywhere, connected a few with his head. That was super nice from Jonet there, by the way. And then grabbed on Surge. Godsby sat, and he got right click, instantly killed him off. And now Flora kills Godsby again. Again, 17 seconds, final fight territory now for the Spark to try and get back into this series.
They were looking great.
Look at this
looked like they had the potential to come in, and they're going on.
Goon squad.
Oh,
like Flora, Jonet,
and
the AoE damage is insane.
Oh, but they pay for it at the same time. But Flora is unstoppable right now, despite losing Bianca and Jonak. You have Yakpung and Flora absolutely popping off. You have currently Gushue on the point. They need to manage to boot him off so the overtime ticks away. They're trying to stagger all the way in, but that Dynamite dealing so much damage. Can they get there on time? They do. They do manage to touch. It's Bernard who does manage to go over to the Diva to make sure they can get there on time, allow the rest of the Spark to get over. And the NYXL, they understand the situation. They don't want to go for Harita. Instead, rather, they want to back off to wait for the rest of NYXL. They are going to give this corner over to the Shock, though, or rather the Spark, though. And now with this pulse bomb online from Architect, it's going to be tricky. You do know he wants to go in for the backline. The Bob now coming forward, and it's absolutely chaotic right now. Jaws would look to be a grim situation now. The Spark have now been able to turn that around. The Bob has been used up from Flora. Yakpung is building into those mines, but the Spark are still finding these picks.
Yeah, the press Q to win button comes online again for IDK as Gushue slams onto Jonak as he's not left with a bone left in his body, or a screw and a bolt, I guess. Friday and Flora end up taking out Gushue and Architect. OT's taken down now, Vicky.
And not only that, NYXL, they're finding picks, but they're low themselves. Yakpung falls through, but the Spark, there is nobody left. And the NYXL, they're excelling through over the Spark, currently taking the first series of APAC that we've opened up today with.
All right, not bad. They find their first win of 2021. What an unbelievable show. What a ridiculous amount of aggression from the backline of the NYXL. And Flora finding these stupid flanks as 3 people and then taking the fights early. I love it. Flora just doesn't care who he's facing against. He knows they're veterans on the Spark. He doesn't mind at all. He'll take a flank on you, no worries. MCD left a little bit helpless some of the time. He really had a showing on Voskhaya Industries, but kind of put in his place. And Jonak switching over to the Zen. He had a little bit of a play of the game at the end there too, the Transcendence from the grab, and then clicking on a couple of people's heads as well. Just trying to make sure everybody knows he is one of the best Zens in the world. Still, you know, congratulations to NYXL, first series. Spark, not quite finding it just yet. There's been sparks, funnily enough, of brilliance at least. I would say MCD, on top of everybody, honestly, has been performing exceptionally. There's still a lot more growing pains, I think, for the Spark roster as of yet. And moving on to the season, maybe we'll see some bright flourishes a little bit later on. But for now, the NYXL looking pretty good. Someone needs to just punish Flora, though. They can't keep getting away with this. The 3-man flank, they can't do it.
Being enabled to by Friday and Jonak to help with that sustainability, and they were they traded, but they traded in their favor, especially with that time bank ticking away. That's a lot of pressure for the Spark to try to come back from that. Meanwhile, Flora is just quite literally holding forward and getting away with clicking these heads. And with those tricky flanks that we saw Flora try to go for too, you saw that Flora was actually positioned right above MCD, but luckily that Transcendence came in. But it didn't matter at the very end of the day, Joss. The NYXL, they take it over the Spark. kind of showing, you know, yesterday, unfortunately, we got 3-0'd. But today, they didn't get the 3-0 over the Spark, but at least taking it to a 3-1. They're looking fantastic, and that's how everything starts in the first place.
Yeah, Yukpeng as well is going to be our player of the match, presented by Xfinity. Yukpeng performed exceptional on the Reinhardt in the first couple of maps. I mean, him and Guangzhou, I mentioned it on Havana, but we're just kind of trading places, and he was just running at their backline as Guangzhou was running at his. The Wrecking Ball, of course, too. He's been looking rather clean. Not too bad whatsoever. It's been nice to see some Wrecking Ball. Don't like to see Wrecking Ball in my ranked games, but seeing a good ball player that isn't Among is always a nice surprise. And it's been quite an interesting transition, I think, for a lot of main tank players having to pick up ball for this season. And it was an interesting identity that Chengdu Hunters had, but now kind of every team has to have their ball player, because these double bubble comps, or even the Wrecking Ball with the Zarya in tow, they are so important because you can take so many angles, and you can see Yukpeng just kind of destroying in the front lines. I mean, look at that. Knockback kills 36, power driver kills 15, players knocked back almost 100. This guy's unstoppable on the ball.
Wow. Yeah, and also that follow-up that we would see between Ivy going right in and Floor being able to distract the rest of the Spark. Yukpeng also enabling Ivy to just dive right back in. And with some of that assistance from Jonak, it really allowed and enabled Yukpeng to shine. I'm really excited to see more of Yukpeng in the future, but that's going to conclude this first series for the day.
Yes, it will. We've got an interesting one coming up a little bit next, but we'll have to leave you on red for the time being. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone, to the May Melee Qualifiers, week number 2, and we just finished our first series of the day. And looking at our first series here, Jaws, I like bold chips, but I also like bold takes. Tell me your bold prediction for looking at these two teams and the way that they performed. What are you expecting going on throughout the season between the NYXL and Spark?
My bold prediction, presented by Pringles. What is my bold prediction? Let's have a look. NYXL, they're going to excel the rest of the season. Jonak is going to do a Violet. He's going to transition to DPS for certain maps. He's going to do everything and all and everything. He's going to do tank as well. You know, he's going to do a full mirror. He's going to go tank, support, and DPS in a season, and he's going to win MVP. There you go. There's my bold prediction.
You know, yesterday I was trying to be super outlandish, but now I don't know. You got me beat, but that's also something that I would actually really want to see anyways, but just to see out of curiosity how that would go. But my bold prediction, looking at the NYXL, I think, you know, this is actually going to sound a little boring. I think what they're dealing with some growing pains at the moment, and I saw that yesterday, and especially now looking at the performance now, they absolutely were able to regain some of that confidence into that series versus the Spark. My bold prediction is, again, it actually kind of sounds boring. I want to sound a little more outlandish.
Okay.
You know, I think, all right. I think Ivy is not going to be on the May and is going to be able to pop off. I want to see more Ivy Tracer. I want to see Ivy go more Tracer than the May that we are so used to seeing from Ivy. That's, you know, that's what my bold prediction is going to be. I'm going to see Ivy way more on that Tracer pick than May going forward. Doesn't matter what meta it is.
So you'll say they're going to remove May from the game? Excellent, excellent.
It's not Christmas yet, Jaws. We can't be saying these things.
I thought you were just leaking the script. That's fine. I think while we get punished for leaking the script, we need to jump to a quick break. We'll see you guys in a sec. We got match number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.
What up, guys? Welcome back. We have the Chengdu Hunters against Philly coming up soon on your screens. I'm looking forward to it, and I think everybody's looking forward to the Hunters. Let's be real with ourselves here. There's no way, not a single member of the audience watching APAC isn't excited to see some more Hunter gameplay. I know that's for sure. So, Philadelphia Fusion, been looking pretty good as well, to be fair, Vicky.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when I take a look at this upcoming series we're about to have, I think this is going to be a statement maker between which team is going to be #1 leading the way for Impact and which team is going to be falling over to that #2 spot. Hopefully, when it comes to looking at Philadelphia, that's not something they want to relive out here. So looking forward, though, the Hunters, they're looking really strong, and I'm really excited to see what they got in store for the Fusion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more wreckable. Let's be real with ourselves here. You know what I really enjoy as well, though? I enjoy fan art. And art of Carl. If people could... Carl. I said that like a very American way. Carl.
You've been here for a while now.
I have been... it feels like too long, honestly. Too long living next door to Matt, I'll tell you that right now. But you can submit your own fan art to our website, to have it featured some of the time. overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. Submit your own fan art. It's pretty cool. We've seen some of it in the breaks and some of it in the intros and outros and stuff of the show. It's been really cool to see, honestly. And yeah, so let's go back to the game. Wrecking Ball is going to be the pick for Chengdu, let's be honest. And we did speak about it a little bit yesterday, Vicky, and it is a little bit sad to see Among kind of taking a back seat to Gaga, because he he had this Wrecking Ball and the style of Wrecking Ball that he was playing, and when no one else was really playing Wrecking Ball, it was kind of unique, it was kind of wacky, and everybody loved the Chengdu Hunters for that. But now we have Gaga coming in to the league and joining the Hunters, and well, you can already see via the stats, like #1 in hero damage, #2 in final blows, first in grappling claw kills. Like, this guy is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you know, I like the fact that you wanted to highlight Gaga there, because, you know, looking at Gaga, he's the way that he's been able to perform so far within the last 2 weeks. Rookie phenomenal. He's been having a dominant week thus far, and looking at Mono, he's extremely aggressive, I feel like, when it comes to, or at least troublesome when it comes to aggressive tank play, whereas Gaga is more so that fresh face and has a different type of perspective in the game that really shows for itself within his own playstyle.
Yeah, they're also just fantastic at bringing Jinmu on and playing the Pharah, and then you also have Jimmy as well. Like, the flexibility that the Chengdu Hunters currently have in their arsenal is absurd. And there is always a question, who they're going to play first. And honestly, I'd be scared if I were Fusion right now. Chengdu Hunters, they're not some sort of anomaly team where you're going to see these kind of wacky strats. This is the meta that is being just played, right? But you're also having some of the best players in the world on their best roles, which is extremely scary. Jimmy on the Pharah? Yeah, nah. Leave on anything? No, I don't want to face Leave at all. And what's scary for the Fusion on top of that is that they don't have all their players with them currently. They're still running this set lineup, and they can't flex people in and out because they've had a bit of a travel issue. Of course, now you can see on your screen the Hunters starting lineup. We got Leave, Jinmu, Gaga, Elsa, Monk, and Nisha. And Monk has also been an incredible standout performer too. His Ana has been exceptional. Nisha too, his Mercy. There is so many things I could say about the Hunters, and Hex would definitely appreciate them too. Last year, Vicky, I'm sure you're watching, but Hex loved to big up the Hunters, and his penny stocks, yeah, they're on the rise.
And he invested quite smartly, if I could say so myself, especially looking at the way that Hunters have performed. I mean, the winner of this series will become the first team to qualify into the May Melee. So this is more than just, you know, bragging rights of, okay, who's the best team right now in APAC? Because I feel like that's what a lot of people are questioning when they take a look at the Fusion and Hunters. But, you know, Panda's up right now, and I just have to give a quick shout out to that social team for the Hunters, because I love the artwork that they do manage to put out there to advertise their games. But going forward, taking a look at the Fusion, though, enough about the Hunters. You know, Carpe just hit 10K kills yesterday, actually. It was so crazy that your audio just, you know, I blame it on Carpe. The audio it was Carpe hitting 10K right there. And looking at the Fusion, getting out of that win from yesterday, they're looking fantastic, and I'm excited to see what more they have to provide, especially against a team that's been as dominating as the Hunters.
Yeah, Carpe's 10,000th kill was my audio devices. That was
with
what
the Symmetra. With the
oh, yeah. Beaming them down in the circuits already. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate that the Fusion don't have their full lineup with them, but, I mean, who else would you really want? I mean, Alarm and Toby have been looking really good. Toby looking so good on the Lucio. Bit of a different playstyle from Funny Astro. You want a really super aggressive Lucio, and Toby's been kind of showing that. He's been still finding a lot of boop kills, where a lot of Lucios somehow, you know, just wouldn't normally get them. He is the boop god after all. And Alarm, of course, superstar in the support role too. Is it going to match up against the Hunters? That is the big question on everybody's lips. I mean, the Fusion, they were 2-up as well without their Western players coming over too, so it has been a nice start for the Philadelphia Fusion, but Hunters are just on an absolute tear. Their only map loss, of course, is to the Valiant, actually, of all teams, which is a little bit crazy. Ilios is going to be our first map today for this series, at least, and man, this is a good dive map. A very, very good dive map. A good map to play ball. There's a lot of grappling spots, a lot of places you can boot people off as well. This just speaks to the Hunters like no poet ever could.
I like that you brought up the fact that the Hunters, the only map that they've lost has been against the Valiant.
To the Valiant!
It's so funny too, because I think I feel like I recall seeing Gaga making a note actually of how they were trying to have fun or something like that, and you know, it ended up with the Valiant being the only team to still take a map, and then you're looking at the Shanghai Dragons, you're looking at what went down between the NYXL yesterday. Overall, I mean, they're looking strong, and the Fusion now are the next victims for the Hunters' line of sight. now as we do go into Ilios and we're setting things up. I'm excited to see what the Fusion has been able to adjust to after watching the Hunters perform yesterday.
Yeah, let's have a little look. TP's out for the Fusion as well as the Hunters. So Jinmu on the Pharah, no big surprise there. Leave on the Sombra, also no big surprise. The hero pool for the DPS line I mentioned before is just spectacular. Toby is on the Brig, unfortunately, not gonna lie. I wish he was playing the Lucio. There's a lot of places to boot people off around the point, but the Brigitte is just so good at stopping and mitigating this dive. Believe just kind of wants to play super far up to Rascal, a little bit in trouble. Hopper's going to get hacked as well. Perfect target for Jinmu to do some damage, but Monk's already dead.
Yeah, that's a big anti-2 onto Elsa. That's actually going to boot Elsa out of the mech, and the follow-up as well. So it's going to meet themselves back into the spawn. But Carpe, here he comes Carpe though. We were noting Carpe earlier on, I mean, on the Tracer, being able to disrupt the piece. Rascal's unfortunately going to fall though after trying to tack on that extra pressure onto Jinmu. And that may be a trade that I would say would be great, considering the fact that Jinmu has just been such a threat that we've seen thus far upon the Hunter's performance. Going in though, currently, Carpe has been able to help clear out this point. Mono gets hacked. He is trying to control this high ground to boot Elsa off, and they are trying to desperately try to control this point, but at the same time with Jinmu taking that pick off of Alarm, it's very possible here as the Hunters make their way over to control this point for the first time.
Yeah, beautiful kill there by Jinmu, just sniping away Alarm from across the map, and that is basically it. Toby can't really defend against the Pharah. That long-range rockets do a lot of splash damage, and those couple of direct hits on your shield will instantly kill it. So Alarm falling does mean the end of the point control for the Philadelphia Fusion. I mean, if you look at expectations for the Fusion, what do they want to do? Well, they want to jump on Monk time and time again, because Nisha is not going to be on top of him. He's going to be with Jinmu in the skies, trying to damage boost him, heal him, and make sure he's safe. Monk is going to be a lot more vulnerable. Leave with the EMP, though. He can make a very quick engagement in this mega health pack room, and the Barrage and Nano are coming online as well. So EMP, Nano, Barrage seems like the perfect recipe for some kills for the Hunters now. Alarm's dead again.
Taking the Alarm now falls through, does manage to pull out the Nano Boost, and Rascal gets hit with the anti. It's going to be a cleanup from the support side of the Fusion, and currently with the way that the Hunters are able to push back the rest of the Fusion, they're looking strong on this point. Now they have taken the lead, and Monk is going to be able to get rezzed right back into the action.
Yeah, look at everybody just scurrying towards Monk right now. They know Mahado's got that primal rage, but he does get slept, in fact. Nisha going super low, has to just duck, dip, dive, and dodge away from the incoming damage from Rascal. Leave. He did hit an EMP, but it was only on Toby last fight, but managed to take him out quick, sharp, and no rally was available. Speaking of that, he's going to activate it now in this fight to try and turn the tides of war now.
A duplicate coming in from Rascal actually duplicated Monk's Ana and got immediately booted off of it after Leaf actually hacked him. At the same time, Elsa does have that Diva Bomb and gets booped off to the side here. Can he come back? Does he have jump? I mean, he is back into the fight at least. The rest though onto Jinmu's going to keep Jinmu as a threat, and the rest of Fusion are going to be able to clean up EMP onto Hoppa and Toby. Although no follow-ups coming forward after Nisha unfortunately falls. Monk tries to keep themselves back in here, the Nano Boost, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. They do manage to flip the point once again, but 88%, that's a quite hefty lead here if you're looking at the Hunters.
Oh, that was a mad overinvestment there of ults from the Hunters. They used EMP when 3 people were dead, or 2 or 3 people were dead, and then they used the Nano onto Leave to try and keep him alive and kill somebody. There's a lot of damage mitigation. Speaking of Nanos, though, yep, Mano, Goomba Stomp, Monk, and Monk's dead. A Resurrection at least is going to come through, but Mano now getting chased away. Nano for a res, I'll take that any day from the Hunters.
He had to back off right there too. He had to displace that. They had to waste out the res and keeping Monk alive here. Jinmu does have that rocket barrage that you were making note of earlier. Anti onto Elsa does have that Diva Bomb to go in for a quick reset. So a matter of positioning here, you currently see Elsa does have the Diva Bomb themselves, taking in a lot of that damage, is going to be able to pull the trigger on that to go in for that reset. But Mono's taking a quick nap again. Monk consistently getting Mono for that, and that's why we keep seeing Mono dive right back in. And now Alarm has gone down. Anti onto Mono. It's a matter of following up from Jinmu. He gets stuck with those bombs, but at the same time, he's still able to survive that pocket coming forward and the rocket barrage to clear the point.
He gets stuck
by the pulse bomb. He was so close to Carpe down on the ground that Carpe just stared at him while he was doing the rocket barrage and cleaned them up. And at the same time, he got a 2-for-1, took care of Leave, and now currently with the point over to overtime for Fusion currently, the Minefield's alive, and the tank lineup is trying to desperately hold on to contest this point. The Diva Bomb's gonna boot them off very temporarily, but you still have Elsa that was able to get out of there in time, wait out for the rest of the Hunters to make their way over. EMP onto both tanked, and they're actually gonna get not only booted out of the mech, but Mono's gonna fall through. This is gonna be the opportunity right here for the Fusion to make sure that he could sustain themselves. Big anti, and it's gonna be a cleanup. That